Good evening. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your SPDR-ETF stock market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for the evening, as we're here now on Monday, the 25th of September, 2023. Well, if the market seemed to you not so volatile, not a lot of volume today, you're right. It was the holiest day of the Jewish faith. It was Yom Kippur. It ends at sundown. And with that, the traders will return to the marketplace tomorrow. But today was the day they spent in their synagogues around the world. So you didn't miss that. If you were looking and wondering, that was the issue that was going on. All right, New Year has begun, and now Day of Atonement is all over, and we're going to have Days of Atonement, right? That is coming up right now with Speaker McCarthy. Is he going to get a deal done or not? Is the Senate going to get a deal that they can get enough people to cross over and give them a vote there? But what do they do in the House? This thing's a real mess. Moody's has just threatened to downgrade U.S. credit again. The president's going to be on a picket line. It makes all the sense in the world. He belongs on a picket line. Are you watching what's going on at the border? All right, 300,000 people came in August, 11,000 people came in yesterday, and we welcome them. Our border policy is to welcome everybody with open arms and just let them go in. And without federal funding, let them just go into Texas and settle in these cities that they don't have the resources. In Chicago, to give you an idea how serious it is, this is a sanctuary city. Aldermen are now bringing up motions that'll go on our referendum if they can get them there, because it's so politicized here, to no longer be a sanctuary city. You can't afford it. New York may be the next one that does it. It's not that you don't want to help the people. It's that you need the federal government to step in and help with the funding if that's the policy of the country. And you can't tell me that, no, we have a immigration policy and the borders are wide open. I mean, just look at your nightly news. You don't have to believe me. Do you think every cameraman there is a Republican? I don't think so. So this is part of what's going on. I think President Macron of France wrote President Biden to get ideas on energy policy because he's going to enact the law in October trying to take away the pricing power of the energy companies. One proposal is they have to sell at cost. You can imagine they're going to go to work to do that. The next thing is some laws that will in some manner control pricing. That isn't going to happen either. Free markets are what controls pricing. Gouging, yes, against. But who determines the gouging? It can't just be the government determines the gouging, because then everything's a gouge. So you got to remember how this works. But the days of $100 crude oil, well, probably not too far away if the economies of the world get their footing under them, and that's the big if. Today, you had a mixed bag in the stock market, down at one point, came back on another point. I don't know how much you can read into all this. Today, I wasn't around, as you can imagine, Ira Epstein, and the markets, I'll leave this chart and I'll redo everything tomorrow. But with the market coming down, you can see how the BND's continuing to fall. I'll just finish up with all this. Down again there, continuing. So my analysis that I thought this market, and that's why I brought it on, was going to come under serious selling pressure was right. And I feel good about that. Now, you're at the Bollinger Band. Do I think it's straight down from here? Absolutely not. I think what you do is you look to see, do you have an embedded reading? Now what I think the professional money is going to do is wait for the bounce with a slow stochastic in place and try to sell into the market. And if it loses the reading, then you look for prices to get back to the 18-day average. So if you haven't taken my slow stochastic course, this is when you want to take it. You're going to see market upon market upon market right now with embedded slow stochastics. I had one gentleman write, what does that mean? Number one, you should take the course. Number two, what it means in its most simplest of parlances. It's when the two numbers that make up the slow stochastic, they are called a K line in red and a D line in blue. When they are going sideways under the 20 level for a certain amount of days, they lock in. Another word can be embedded, and I'm sure you've heard that term in other places. When the red line closes back over 21, typically, that will mean that a rally is going to come, and often, very often, price leads momentum. So as long as the momentum's locked into the downside, I say that on bounces in price, you're going to see professionals trying to hit this market on the short side and bail if you get that reading over 21, looking for even lower prices. When we come to Rivian, you're down and notice where you're holding, the lower Bollinger Band. That makes all the sense. So between here, the 100-day average, the 200, this is a pretty good support area. Will the market be able to stand the general pressures of a market if it keeps coming down in stocks? No. You know, the markets go where the water level goes. You do understand that to a degree. Not every one of them. Some can really sail away as the seas are receding and everything's going down, the tide drops. But it's typically not that way. There's a general pressure or push on the market one way or the other. Right now, we're in that zone of profit taking oversold. I don't think you're attracting new short selling. In UGA, and by the way, I wanted to leave this up so you can see I have a tremendous amount of software that, and by the way, this is only some, you customize this on this charting software to the different Fibonacci's, the lines you might want to draw, the different studies. You then have your pull-down menus when you come in here, calendars with all kinds of interesting information. I mean, a lot here. But you're oversold. You could get to the lower band, but I'm not pushing for that right here. Oversold is oversold, and I think it's still in the bear camp. XLF, the financial services. Now you're down to the point where it's fighting for its life. It's at the 100-day average in the green. It did get down to 2 days ago. The 200-day average in this gray here and the Bollinger Band, it's taken 48 hours more. It's worked down to the other two averages, and you're oversold. It is not embedded at this point, not locked in. XLI, you're down and fighting a battle now at the 200-day average, the lower Bollinger Band, and you have the embedded reading. So another one of those. And here's another thing you look at to see how bearish you might get. Are we going to see a bearish crossover where the 100-day average, which is the green one, gets crossed over by the one I keep pointing at, the 18-day average under it? Could easily be the case. Disney, all right, I was surprised Disney was down today 24 cents. It started off the day positive because, as you know, they have settled the situation, or a tentative settlement is made between the Writers Guild and the movie studios, but yet it couldn't pick itself up. I found that pretty interesting. Very ugly chart right there. RSP, look at how this market, this is the consumer, they're just annihilated. Now, did we embed here? I believe you did. You need at least 3 days where both numbers are under the 20 level in order to do it. Is it going to let this work or not? I don't think it's even going to let me move it one way or the other. If it does, it's going to do it right now. There you go. Just got stuck. So the answer is from Monday, both numbers under 20. Friday, both numbers under 20. Both numbers under 20 on Thursday. Day before, were they both there? Yep. So let me come back with you. Friday, Thursday. And then the day before, they were there. They've been there for day 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you got your over 3 days. So it's embedded. What do I think is going to happen? Given a good rally to the upside, I think the pros will sell into it. And again, I think they'll bail when you have an embedded reading if the red line settles over 21. Other than that, it's allowed to come up, and the pros use that, and they say, there's a zone I want to get into that market at. Embedded reading here, same thing. Now, it's a mass of them. It's not a few. This is the most I've ever seen just set in on the charts that we're covering. Why? Because the markets are overall bearish. When you look at the energy trying to stabilize itself, it can get over 90.43 in an oversold market, probably going back to the 91.02 area and fighting a battle at the 18-day average of closes. But energy's acted like a market that wanted to correct a bit. It's done it, and it's held the charts together to a degree. In the gold market, lower highs, lower lows. Did you read over the weekend how many articles there were on gold? And they're talking about how gold Many traders thought it would drop down another $100, $200 an ounce when the dollar took off and interest rates this high, and it hasn't. And they say there's more building in that the world wants to own gold. Not everybody wants the dollar. In its own way, it's a pseudo dollar because most of the world prices gold in US dollars, and then you convert it to your currency. But the trend is down. I hate when you get this narrow of ranges. So from the top to the bottom, you got a $3.50 spread on a $176 item. I generally don't like to trade in that. In the copper market, everybody in copper is in trouble. Did you see the news today in China? It's not just Evergrande that got hit again. And they were supposed to have a meeting where they were going to set up restructuring. It's been canceled. Once that happened, their stock went down as much as I saw, 25% on an early morning print. But there's other companies now that are getting it. They have restructuring, and if they can't get it done, there's problems. Evergrande's problems are this month, coming up. They have to restructure by the end of October. Late in the morning, they said they missed another bond payment. That is really bad news. There gets to be a point where you just say, what do I do? Most of these companies, Countrywide and the other Country Gardens it is, and the others, what happened with them is things are so bad that the people that have lent them money are just saying, we'll help you, we'll work with you on what's due, take care of your business, because they don't want these empty buildings. Then they have to maintain them. They're doing it anyways in a roundabout, but if they really took them over, now they got the month-to-month expense of running them. That is something they want to avoid if they can. In TLT, like BND, boom, just coming down here. Then we get to UUP, the dollar index, and as you can see, moving up right through here, still a fully embedded reading. It's just a bullish story there. And if you're bullish there, you should have a bearish story, which you do with the bearish embedded reading, still coming down. And I'm telling you, you got to keep your eye on all this. You put it together and you get a game plan. If any of you have watched how the month of September is unfolding in the stock market, what's it been doing? For those of you, and there were many of you, that looked at my special report a month ago that I put for the month of September, what I thought was going to happen in stock indices, down, 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 it has done its job and done it nicely. And last week was a big down week, but not the biggest week of the year. You know, often it is. It wasn't. Just a while back, you had a month that was down 4.6%. So there's been worse month, but again, down. And then remember what I put in the report. Do you remember what I called for in October? Not going to remind you of it just yet. I know it. I have it. We'll talk about it as time goes on. But you keep hearing me talk about the embedded slow stochastic. The best thing you could do is have your own arsenal of tools. I have mine, and I like to teach what mine are. It's easy to learn. I think it's 14 or 15 chapters, video. You get the charting software with it. And to help you learn for 2 weeks, I give you free access to all my research. You see my morning videos to go along with it. Once you see that, I'm locking it in on you. You're going to get through the course in 1 day. And then you're going to have to learn. Getting through the course and learning are two different things. It's not a race. We want you each day to refresh, take a look. You're going to get it. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I either like that or I don't like that. But I think I'll prove that the events that I teach happen more times than not and on a regular basis. That to me is the important part of it, all right? Nothing is 100%. Nothing. I don't care what you look for in life. If you're looking for a trading vehicle that's 100%, keep looking. Just pass me by because this is not it. Is it a high percentage? Yeah, I think it is. In other words, way more times than not, you get these signals and certain events happen. What are those events? How do you recognize them? That's in the course. How do you take the course? Take a look at the ad. At any point, you can move your cursor to the top up here. Give a click. It'll take you right to the website. Read. Decide if this is for you. It's inexpensive, and it's going to stick with you. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good day. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time. And on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein, on the road to your education.